Welcome back here, or if this is your first time, welcome. We are on a journey to finding the best everyday carry knife. We've created an index called the E-Curt. We are going to test the everyday carry ability, the culinary use, the utilitarian, the rugged ability, and then of course we're going to be doing a torture test at the end of the video, which I always cringe, but we have to do it because we're going to put this knife through all these tests so you don't have to. One of our own knives. This is a knife designed by one of our own, Luke Lewis, and I'm excited to see what this knife can do. I'm going to skip all the specs and all that. You can go ahead and read through them right here. We're not going to waste any of the video time here because what we're here to do is actually just go over what this knife can really do. I have carried this knife myself a few times and loved every second of it, but I've got a brand new one here right out of the box. And before we even go into the culinary use, I'll have to wash that up here. We're going to first talk about the everyday carry ability of the knife. So here it is. This is the Hanson W XL Premium. You got S90V blade and titanium frame lock. As far as the weight, we already know the titanium is going to be excellent. Let's give that a scale and let's talk about the weight itself here. And this is going to be part of the everyday carry ability. Light is better, so if it fits in the pocket, how well it is, and ease of use. So as far as lightness, it is so light, super light. Put it in the pocket. I've carried mine quite a few times and I like it a lot, and I forget it's there. So weight wise, absolutely awesome. I like the weight. I also, like I said, I like to have a control or a good feeling of what is in hand. So if it's super light, that can kind of negatively also, for, in my opinion, everyday carry ability. I'm going to give that an 8 because it's super light, but it feels like I have something in hand in a good way. I forget it's in the pocket, so it's not cumbersome in the pocket. It's not bouncing around all day long. Size, of course, when it comes to size, I think as far as everyday carry ability goes, the knife should fit well in hand, and I wear these extra large mechanics gloves. Let's go ahead and put my glove on so it feels good. So size is a number, but size in hand is what we're going to talk about. Holding that in hand, how does it feel? It feels really well in my hands, so I'm going to give that a really good rating. Of course, for everyday carry ability, I'm going to give that a 9. I think the size for me in hand for everyday carry ability feels great. I can reach the jimping. I can go ahead and do a little pinch grip with the grip. Yeah, that size-wise, that's about the perfect size for me for everyday carry ability. I'm going to give it a 9 because I think that's perfect. I will say, because of the blade shape in the pocket, it would be better if this wasn't sticking out, but that's the blade shape. So that is kind of why I'm giving it a little docking of score, only because of that. But otherwise, in hand, how it feels, I got to give it a 9. I would say if it was maybe a drop point, that is a personal thing, but trying to take the opinion out of the idea, when you have it in the pocket, it would take up less real estate if it was a little bit more thin. But I think that blade at the end of the day is going to come in handy, to be honest with you. So yes, size, I'm going to give that a 9. Ease of use, let's talk about it and let's just take the elephant out of the room. If you've seen any of my videos or you know me, you know that I'm super into fidgety knives. I like to fidget them. So ease of use is important for me. And when it comes down to it, I want to be able to drop it shut, put it in the pocket, pull it back out of the pocket, flip it open, grab it, and start going to work without even thinking about it. To me, that's what ease of use is. When we talk about ease of use, the pocket clip is also part of that. Using some pretty thick pants here, so thinking about that is probably a little bit different, but I can talk to this firsthand, of course, when I've worn my own jeans, sweatpants, and I think that is a great pocket clip. So ease of use, it's got a lot of functionality. It drops shut. I can reverse flick it, thumb flick it. Ease of use, I gotta give that an 8. I think what would give it a 10, like I said from my other videos, is maybe if it was just like an automatic, but a lot of people can't carry automatics in different states. My state, of course, is one of those. Materials, well, we talked about the blade material being S90V, titanium. Materials are great, absolutely awesome materials. I gotta give that a 9. Let's talk about the price. Right now, the price is $229, and this could be kind of an opinion thing, but in my opinion, for what you're getting, blade steel, materials on the handle, and everything you get on here, I'm gonna honestly say that $229 is pretty good for what you're getting comparative to what's out there and the high prices of other knives in the same material. $229 is right where it should be. I'm gonna go ahead and give that a 7, only because it's not super budget, but you kind of get what you pay for. And we'll kind of come down to the end of the video and see, am I wrong to be given that a 7? We'll see how that holds up, and you can make your own opinion, of course, at that. For me, knowing what I've used it for, I think that's a going rate price. All right, let's talk about the culinary use of the knife here, and let's see how it performs. So the culinary is going to talk about a couple different things. You got your fruits, your vegetables, your meat, your cheese, and some bread. Things that you're going to be using this knife for, maybe whether you're camping, maybe you work on a job site, or maybe you even want to use this in the kitchen itself here. And we're going to test out a few things here. We got some sticky cheese, some meat, like I said. We'll see how it really does. Had to grab a plate and clean the knife off because, well, we're using food, you gotta be clean. I've got some ham here, and we're gonna make a ham sandwich with pepper jack cheese, with butter nickel breakfast bread. I think it's gonna be pretty good. And I'm just gonna cut right through the plastic here. Out of the way, there we go. I'm gonna be honest with you, that sliced way too good. I actually cut the cutting board way too deep, so let's go ahead and be a little less aggressive with it. That's cutting really good. Wow, okay. So let's talk about here, how well is it doing? It's doing amazing. I think it's actually doing better than some of my kitchen knives. Right off the bat here, it did way better than I could have expected, honestly, and it did better than my kitchen knife did. So giving that a score, let's give it an 8. I mean, it cut perfect. It did better than my kitchen knife. Now, let's talk about the slicing ability here. We're gonna cut through a tomato and check out its slicing ability. All right, nice looking tomato here. Let's go ahead and try it out really quick here. All right. I've seen this on a chef. I'm not a chef, but I've seen this once. They kind of got it like this, and they're like, oh wow, oh my gosh. Actually kind of worked. Let me see if I can get that on the camera. Just watch this. Oh, that is smooth. I'm not as good as I've seen them do it. Like, they were just like, how do they do that? They're just like, shoo. Oh, that just performs so good. Once again, I think this is better than some of my kitchen knives. Now look at the size of it. It's working great for what I need to do. And I thought maybe the thumb studs would get in the way, but they're not. That performed really, really well. So sliceability on the tomato, outstanding. Like I said, I think it did better than my knives inside the kitchen. I've got to give that a good score, in all honesty. It's doing excellent. Let's give the sliceability an 8.5. If it was longer, it would make better sense as far as being a culinary knife, but for everyday carry purposes, worked great. Let's go ahead and cut the cheese. Take a look at how well this can slice through some sticky, foods. Once again, just like before, right through the plastic. All right, so it is a little bit thick on the top, but we'll see if that affects it at all. All right. The more I do it, I think the better it's getting. Okay. Cheese ability, great. It's doing exactly what I would expect to do. Go ahead and cut it one more time here. If I had this knife only even in the kitchen, absolutely great. So cutting the cheese with the Hanson I'm gonna have to give that a, gosh, I feel bad, but it's doing really good. And I don't want to keep giving these good scores, but it cut really well. I feel bad, but I got to give it an 8. I mean, it cut really good. That blade length is pretty much the only reason I would give it a more of a poor score, to be honest with you. Let's go ahead and cut some bread here. We are going to be cutting some pumpernickel bread, I believe is how you pronounce it. And just like before, I think this is going to fail a little bit because of its length of the other knife, but let's just go ahead and try it out here. Yeah, slicing right through it like I'd expect it to. Very good looking piece of bread there. So first off, this will be the actual sandwich part. So how thick we want to make this? It's about there. So just like before, I think the length of the blade definitely is what's hindering it, but it slices right through there. It's doing so good. Okay, let's go ahead and do it one more time here, because you need 2 pieces of bread, 2 sides. It's really good. Man, that's doing really good. Wow, okay. Like I said, the only issue I'm having is because it's, the blade is short. Other than that though, it's slicing that bread great. I gotta dock some points because of the length of the blade. So I'm gonna give that a 7. Definitely not a bread cutting knife, but if that's all I had to use, great, works awesome. Let's go ahead and build this sandwich up here. How do you guys do it? You put the meat down, you put the cheese. How do you guys like making sandwiches? There we go. Pretty good sandwich. What do you guys think? You like it? Does it look good? All right, let's see the choppability of the knife here. So I got some celery here. I'm just gonna get about 1, let's do 2 pieces here. Get that out of the way. Okay. So there's a couple ways that people will cut celery or chop celery. So being it's a really flat blade, that might hinder a little bit here. So you would probably cut it like this, which works great. Maybe you wanna do some fine cuts. Maybe you're gonna make like a soup at all. I'm seeing a problem here where I'm chopping it like this. I would probably have to get this like on the side down here like this. And you know, not too bad, but for culinary purposes, I think that's going to dock a few points in all honesty for chopping for the culinary purpose that it is here. So if I was to chop it here, you know, like they do in the fancy culinary places, they're just like, I mean, it's cutting through, but as you can see here, this is the problem. Because the blade is not, you know, like a drop point would be or anything like that. It's super flat, and because it's shorter, that's where it's gonna fail. But yeah, you could just go like this, you know what I mean? Then it works great. But the actual choppability here, if I was to go like this, works great. So you have to get down on the side. I'm gonna have to deduct some points just because of that own reasoning, in all honesty here. So choppability, I'm gonna give it a 6, only because of the blade shape, but it does good if you want to actually cut it up here. So use your own jurisdiction. A 6 is not bad, but it's not like that's not its main purpose. So for EDC, you gotta think about it, because this is gonna be a knife that you are gonna carry. You know, it works great, but maybe if you angled it up, but you see what I mean? It's just because of blade shape. Doesn't make that a bad knife, but for everyday carry purposes, it's gonna do just fine. So we'll go ahead and average all those scores together, and we'll find out what the final verdict will be here. Let's go ahead, I'm gonna eat that sandwich before we get into the next test. All right, let's go into category 3, which is the utilitarian use, I guess you could say. And grabbed a couple materials here. We got some wire, some hose, some leather, and my, I would call this the scraping, and then of course the cardboard. Let's put that on the floor here. So when it comes to wire stripping, this is maybe electrician, or you know, somebody maybe working in their vehicle, putting speakers or whatever. Let's just start out with a good fresh piece here. that aside here. And stripping wire. You know, this is something that maybe you're in your car, like I said, or you're in your living room even. You know, this is something you have in your pocket and you're gonna strip out the wire to, I don't know, I'm trying to think of all the things I've done here in the past. Of course, no new speakers or something like that here. And I'm not an electrician. I'm not really the best judge of this, but I'd say that did what I've done in the past here. If I had a wire snips, I'd probably do better. Let's grab the little pieces here. Yeah, I was to rewire that back together. Not doing too shabby. These smaller pieces do okay, but I'm worried about breaking it. Oop, I failed that one a little bit. I'm just not a good person to do wire snips, I guess. Do one little last piece here. If I was to, there we go, be really gentle with it. Electricians, you guys are watching this like, this guy, he don't know what he's doing. And I don't. My experience with cutting that piece of wire wasn't so good. I didn't do a very good job, and that's a me problem. I'm going to give it a score though. Honestly, give that a 7. I could have done better if I had a wire snips, but I'm just not the best at wire clipping today, and probably because my hands are cold. I'm going to make up all these excuses, just so you know. Let me just make excuses up. Let's go to the rubber hose here. This is actually an old garden hose I had out in the yard for a while. You can see it's kind of weathered a little bit, but it is definitely a sealed rubber hose, and it's really hard to cut through. So if this does good, that's going to mean something. Okay, not doing too shabby. That 14C definitely didn't do as good as this is doing. I've even used this with some Magna Cut I've cut with this. Kind of get that in there. I'm just going to try something a little bit different than normal. Oh yeah. Yeah. Not doing bad at all. Let's give it one more cut. You can kind of use that tip even. Roll it around there. Oh yeah, this does really good. Wow. I'm trying to think of different ways how you'd cut it, how different people would cut it. Yeah, that does good. Did not too bad at all. Get one little final cut off that so it looks clean. Not too shabby at all. A little hard, a little more work than I'd expect it to, but this rubber hose is no slouch. So, score on that, based on other things I've used and based on what I would cut it with, this is not a slouch of a hose. So I'm going to honestly give that a 7. It did good. Could have done better, yeah, but it didn't do the worst I've had to do. So I think a 7 is definitely in order. So I've come up with this scraping idea, trying to figure out, you know, what would, I don't know, resemble maybe, like I said, your window, maybe you're scraping a sticker off your car window, like a state park or anything like that. This is going to be basing the blade shape, how utilitarian the blade shape itself is here. So it's very flat. Let's go on to this sticker here. Let's just see how it does. Of course, a lot of it's going to be that tip that I'm going to be trying to get because it's a very flat blade. Don't cut against yourself, or don't cut towards yourself, but I'm just trying some here. I mean, scraping ability, not so good, but not so bad. I know you could probably actually use this flat side. I know that's not the blade, it's not the sharp spot, but if you had to, that actually works okay. I don't recommend it, honestly. I think it actually works better this way. Yeah, I think it actually works better using the sharp spot of the blade. Scraping ability, just because of the blade shape, isn't doing the best, of course, because you gotta use the tip of it so much. Not the best, but I've definitely tried to scrape things harder with other tools, I guess you could say. Let me try just a different sticker here. This is the one that gave us a little bit of problem last time on a different knife. If I was scraping this, you know, obviously if I could use the full blade, then it would do great. But let's just say, you know, maybe you're scraping something on a window and you can't move it around like I can move this around. I'm gonna give it a 6.5 because that blade shape, but otherwise for utilitarian uses, if I had to use this, yeah, I wouldn't be mad. We're gonna cut some leather here. I've got this thin leather here, but I'll stack it up to make it thicker, of course. Once again, this is going to most likely use that tip quite a bit, but I'll try my best to use the belly of the knife. Let's take a look here. Oh, that was like butter. That 14C was like actually kind of hard. This is, wow, this is like butter. This is, I don't even think this is fair. It's too easy. Oh my gosh. Yeah, okay, yeah, too easy. That tip is really sharp. So I'm gonna stack this up a little bit here and just take a look here. That was too good. Could have done better, I don't know. I think the blade shape is the only issue, but it's super slicey. That blade material, got to give that a 9 because it just worked way too well actually. So yeah, I'm gonna give that a 9 because it worked great. Whoops, almost forgot one. The cardboard. How could I forget the cardboard? Let's test out the cardboard because this is something that we all pretty much do, and this is actually a cardboard box that I've got to cut down and put in the recycling right now, so it was perfect time. Get a little work done, right? All right, it's doing exactly what I expected to do. That S90V is super, super slicey. Getting caught up in the inside here for some reason. This is that cardboard that just, it cuts kind of weird. I don't know why. Let's go ahead and do the kind of the corner cuts. That was really easy. Let's go with the grain. That S90V is so slicey. No problem. Let's go against the grain here. Oh yeah. Like a champ. Yeah, cardboard cutting works great. So would I take that out and cut a bunch of cardboard? Absolutely would do that all day. Feels comfortable in hand. It's doing exactly what I want. Got this jimping for me to do here. Let's just say I want to do a little detail cut, a little pinch grip, use that jimping up top here. Super utilitarian. Super utilitarian. So cutting ability for cardboard, win all around. 8.5 for sure. That S90V is known to be slicey, so definitely a win in my book. Definitely a win in my book. Take this out the recycling now. We're gonna go ahead and compile all those scores together to give one full score of that category and see how well it did. All right, let's go ahead and put this to a rugged test. I've got a couple items in front of me here to really find out how rugged this knife is here. And we're getting close to that torture test, so things are gonna get a little bit dicey. So let's start out by doing a little bit of tip prying. So I went ahead and put a couple staples in here and I kind of put them at different depths so we can kind of see how well that tip does work here. We'll start with kind of an easier one here. All right, no problem. A little bit deeper in there. And let's really get in there. That tip is going to be something that I was a little worried about because it is super, I don't know, how do you want to say, pointy. That one's really in there. And how well are we looking? Oh, it's doing okay. Woo! Okay. Yeah, it's definitely getting in there, not having any problems. That one, of course, was really deep in there, so I'm really kind of getting in the wood. Absolutely. Would I use that for, rather than using like a needle nose pliers? Probably, honestly, just get in there. You saw how well that worked? Yeah. Got to give that a good score because it performed. Is there a tool that would work better for it? Yeah. So as far as tip prying, I don't think I damaged the tip at all. A little bit, a tiny bit in there, but not too bad. I'm gonna have to go ahead and give that a decent score in all honesty. It did good, it did good. And I'm trying to be, honestly, give it realistic scores, and it did great. It didn't break. Like I said, as far as any damage on there, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 7.5 because there's a little bit of in there, but that's probably just, is it chipping or rolling over? A little bit of rolling. There is one chip in there. I don't know if I can get that on camera here. Not too bad, but there's a little bit of chipping on there. I'm gonna go ahead and 7.5 because it performed, but a little bit of damage to it. Didn't exceed or anything like that. So I think it's a pretty promising score. This is to start a fire. You need a little bit of kindling, and so do a little bit of feather sticking. Just need little pieces of wood. That's all you need. Put that together, and that's going to start out your fire. Of course, that's all you need, but some people like to feather stick, and they'll use the actual like piece of wood. What they'll do is they'll make these like God, that is really working. Holy smokes. And they'll make these, I don't know what you want to, there's a name for it. I'm not a bushcrafter. I've never actually had to do this. Last time I had to do this, I was a kid and I was in the Boy Scouts. But what you do is you make these little rolls or feathers. And then what you do, once you do that all the way around here, of course this is square, it doesn't work so well. But then you would use that, you would light that up there, and now you got this kind of core, and this thing would really start on fire really well. So feather sticking, absolutely, that worked great. I could start a fire right now with all that kindling, and that super slicey. Wow, like I can't get over how small you can make these. So you could really make some small pieces, some small kindling. Outstanding, outstanding. Yeah, outstanding. Exactly what I would do. I hate to do this, but I gotta give it a 9. It did outstanding, super sharp. Over time, I'd be very curious to see what that do. I'd be very curious to see how that holds up. Let's cut some rope with it here. This is gonna be a challenge, in all honesty, just because I know that rope is a killer. So we start out with some thin rope here. Well, we're going to work here. Let's get some gloves on, get some glasses on. Let's get a little safe here because things are starting to get a little bit deeper here. Deeper. Things are getting a little bit more aggressive, maybe is the best way to say that. And I like to call this rope the blade killer because man, oh man, is it tough. Well, let's see how it does. Oh yeah, she performs real well. There's some more kindling for a fire, right? Yeah, it's doing excellent. I mean, that cut really good. That cut extremely good. Just in case it was a fluke, let's cut it again, just in case. Was that a fluke? Let's make sure we use the full blade, not just that tip there. Wow. I forget how good a knife really does perform with good materials. There you go. There's a true test. A little bit of frays there, okay. But look how clean that is. It did great. It did great. It performed extremely well. As far as the score, I mean, it didn't just slice it like that, slice that tomato, but I gotta give it an 8. It did well. It did extremely well. It really shows how good a premium material blade actually can do. Going back to the ease of use here, there's me closing it with gloves on. Well, let's go ahead and check out how well it does on some zip ties. So we'll start out with a quick zip tie here on the rope. Okay, did decent there. Chop test, no problem whatsoever. Get the contraption here. And this is gonna kind of test the tip. Oh, that went really well. Okay, and how else would you do it? This is kind of gonna be kind of a torture at the same time, but put it in there, and I've seen people do this. I'm guilty of it as well. Twist the blade. Okay, no problem. And then of course, right in half. No problem. Zip tie test. There are no snips. There are no, they're not the actual tool, I should say. If you had a pair of snips, it'd do so much better because, well, that's what they're made for. This is the knife. Super, super, super sharp blade. Score on the zip ties. I would take that out with me any day. 8.5 because I'd take that any day. Obviously, if it was the right tool for the job, that'd be a 10, but all day long would I take that with me, for sure. This one is where we're gonna start getting a little heavy duty. This is the nitty gritty. This is the infamous coat hanger. This thing has destroyed so many knives. And even some specialized wire snipping tools. I won't name brands, but if you're part of the EDC community, you know what I'm talking about. Whew, I'm a little worried for this one here. So let's see how it does. All right, 3, 2, 1. Okay, just rolled a little bit. How well they're doing here? Not too shabby. Just kind of a tiny little roll in there. Nothing too bad. Last time we did it, it sheared that right off and right in there. So, okay, all right. Let's test it in a little bit different spot here. 3, 2, 1. It's rolling it. It's not getting through, but it's not breaking the blade. But that's the best I've done so far. That's not too bad. So if you can see it, this is the cut. You can almost bend it and break it. Yep, there we go. There we go. Okay, so that's the best that I've actually had a knife do. It rolled the blade just a little bit, but nothing too shabby. Let's just see what it does. Does it snag on the cardboard still? Doesn't matter, still worked. Okay, so did it fail? No. Did it succeed? Kinda. I mean, I broke it and it kind of succeeded. So score on the coat hanger did okay. I mean, it didn't fail. I'm gonna give it a 4, a 5. Let's give it a 5 because I was able to do it. And if I, actually, you know what? Let's do it. Let's do it again here. Let's really test it out here. Let's see if we can actually get all the way through it here. Let's see if we can do it. Because I want to give it a true test. If it goes through, it doesn't break the blade. Let's give it one more test here. All right. 3, 2, 1. Went right through it, no problem. Just minor rolling. Nothing you can't take out with a nice, probably not even need anything super grinding of the blade. Not too bad. Where did it go here? There it is. There you go. It cut right through it. I'm gonna actually up my ante here. I went a little bit aggressive on it. Shoot, even got my receiver hit there. It cut through there. There's the blade. My opinion, as far as how that worked, I'm gonna have to go ahead and give that a 6.5 because, oh gosh, I almost want to give it a 7. It went right through it, and I was being a little bit more aggressive. It went through it. There's a better tool for the job, I'll just be honest with you. But that did great. Let's go ahead and give it final score. Look at the blade again here. All right, let's see here. Let's get a little bit closer in there. What do you think? What are your opinions? I mean, this is That's what it did to the blade. Use your judgment, but I'm going to give it a 6.5. It did the job. It did kind of damage the tool. Nothing that it can't really be fixed, I guess you could say, but it did the job. So yeah, I'm happy with that. I'm actually extremely happy with the ruggability of this knife so far. We'll go ahead and tally all the scores together and give it a final score and see how that goes. All right, the moment you guys have been waiting for is the torture test. Now we're really gonna go ahead and put this through a good torture test, and I'm not gonna go soft on this thing. We're gonna really put it through the gears and see what happens. So time to go to town here. Digging, screwdrivering, batoning, bolt chop, and then that final one, that brick drop. Let's start out with the screwdriver and see how well it works as a screwdriver. A very pointed tip, and of course you don't have to always use the blade, so we'll test it out quick here. So I went ahead and did the same thing I did with the staples. I went ahead and put them in different heights and how deep we have them in there. So let's first off try that back of the blade there, just see what happens. Doesn't fit, it's a little thick there. So let's go ahead, let's see how the tip does. Oh, I cringe. All right, it's working. Let's go to a little bit deeper. Oh. Broke the tip off in there. Broke the tip off in there, but that might actually be better for it, because now, yeah, it was just too easy for it not to break, because it was just such a pointed tip. But there you go. Now you've got a real screwdriver. And let's see if it comes all the way out here. Oh, there we go. Yep, no problem there. It broke the tip, so obviously that's gotta dock some points, unfortunately. So there's the tip. Yeah, it did break the tip. So gotta dock it some points for breaking the tip, but otherwise it did great. The tip is still inside there. Can you put it back in there? Let's just take a look here. So could you use this as a screwdriver? Absolutely. Could you start a new hole? I've never tested that. That's not part of the test, but just because I use a drill. This isn't really part of the test, but I'm going to do it anyways. If I had to use this knife for it, my hands feel really good and comfortable with this thing. Yeah, there you go. Could you build a house with it? You probably could, but would you want to? I wouldn't want to. I would say pretty darn good. Screwdrivering, it did great. There's obviously a real tool for the job, a real screwdriver, a drill, whatever. Did great though. Put it back in there. I got to give that a good score. I'm going to give it a 7 here. It broke the blade, and once it broke the tip off there, it did way better, performed better because it could fit in there. So because it damaged it, obviously can't give it a really good score, but I think 7 is honestly fair for what that is. Maybe leaning towards 6.5 because it did break, but I think it performed. It felt good in the hand. If I had to use it in a pinch, I would use it, and just fine. You could reshape that back out, no problems whatsoever. Let's go ahead and baton some wood and see how well this does here. And just like before, we are testing the knife's ability. So usually you would use a fixed blade, or if you had to use a folder, you would use it like this, where the blade is not locked into place. Press it on there, and then you drop down if you had to do this. So, do I condone on what I'm going to be doing right now? No, but we are opening the lock, locking it, and, well, we're going to baton with it here. 1, 2, 3. No problem. No problem at all. Slicer than ever. No problem. I'm gonna have a little fire. Let's just see here. How's that lock doing? It's like brand new still. I'm not torturing this at all enough. This is not a real torture test. Let's step it up here. We did it last time. We gotta step it up again here. Bring in the big dog. Let's see here, where should we start? Let's do right here. Let's see here. Now, uh-oh. Did we get the lock to do something? Or is that just because of the pressure? Ooh. Okay. We might have actually finally did it. Uh-oh. I think we did it. Okay. I think we did it. The lock is not doing what it's supposed to be doing. Okay. All right, so we got it pretty far in there, and we are really putting that lock to work, but I think we've got it where I don't want to be careful with that. So batoning in a big log like that, just like the other one, the blade is too short, but I mean, it feels good in hand again. Let me put that back in there. Let me see here. Is it doing good for this kind of wood? No, that would work perfect for little pieces, but that lock is failing a little bit, isn't it? This is a, what is this, a 1 pound hammer? So it's not holding the force anymore, but that's why you don't do that with this type of knife. But there's 1 pound balancing on it. There you go. That tells you how the lock is working right now. So through the big wood, not so good. The little pieces of wood, absolutely. We'll go back over and try it again here. Like I said, I want to really test this knife out. No problem with that. If you're going to baton some smaller stuff, you're making a small fire, absolutely. Batoning through some little stuff, great, did awesome. As far as the big stuff, you're not going to be chopping some big logs with it. Of course, like I said, that's more of just kind of testing out that lock. Let me just see here. It's not failing the spine whack though. And the action still feels really good. It's still really solid. It's not failing the spine whack. The detent feels really smooth still. I mean, what the heck? I can't tell if I'm hitting where I'm hitting, but it still feels really solid. I'm gonna take a look at the lock up there. I mean, it's still kind of failing. And if you look inside there, it doesn't look like it's breaking anything, but it's still failing just a little bit. I don't know. It feels solid in hand. Let me give it one more whack. Like I said, I don't condone doing this, but we're doing this because we really want to test it out here. I gotta figure that. It feels really good. I don't know. It's almost like it's slipping. Trying to look in there, it almost feels like it's slipping. I mean, it still feels really solid. Drop shutty. The detent is doing what I'd expect it to do here. I don't know. Batoning did good though. I was impressed with the batoning. So batoning, making a fire if you had to use this, worked great. I mean, the lock is failing, but not too bad. Well, let's bring this torture test up a notch, right? Scary. Can we get through a bolt? Let's go ahead and do it right in the middle here. All right, 3, 2, 1. Okay, is it budging at all? A little bit. Not too good, but it definitely put some damage on the blade. Okay, I'm gonna put it in a different spot here. Let's try it again. Huh. Well, let's give it a score here. I mean, I'm beating the heck out of it. And it's really actually taking a beating, but not too bad on the blade. I mean, obviously you saw what 14C does. And then of course, this is the new cut right there, if you can see it. I mean, you can see the chips of the blade still in there. Should we try it one more time? 3, 2, 1. We got her stuck in there, but still not too bad. I mean, it's not cutting it whatsoever, but it shows you how tough that blade is. I mean, yeah, you need to regrind a little bit, but big deal. How's that lock here? Let's test it here. It's actually doing better than before. Detent feels right on track. Well, it definitely didn't do anything as far as to the bolt, but it didn't completely fail. It cut through there. It didn't completely fail. Nothing that a little knife sharpener can't fix on that one. So it didn't actually do the job, but I'm gonna give it a 2 because it held up. I mean, it cut through, it didn't break, but it didn't do its job. So I'm gonna give it a 2. It worked better than all the other knives so far. So let's go ahead and dig with it and let's drop a cinder block. All right, so underneath this snow is some, oh, it's way down there. Let's get that out of there. Is some dirt. Let's see how it works in diggability here. Of course, still frozen, but being it's got a flat blade there, I'd give it a good score here. Last time I gave it a 5, and because it was frozen, but same thing here. I need to up the ante on that score. I mean, it comes down to the blade shape, and that blade shape is really good. It looks like a shovel, and last time I gave it a score, and I should have given it a better score. If I was gonna maybe do a plant or anything like that, dig into some soft dirt, absolutely. If I was to be out there digging with this, I'm gonna give it a 7 because of the blade shape. I think that's gonna be a perfect shape to really dig a good hole. Maybe you're going to use it in the garden, or dig out something in the dirt, or metal detector. A good sized blade, and of course it's super slicey. Here we go. This is like the main event. Yes, I am definitely nervous. So hold the block, head high, drop her right on the knife. The main event. Here we go. Hope you're ready. All right. 3, 2, 1. What? 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 Oh, it did break it. Oh, there it is. Okay. Well, it it did break the top of the blade a little bit. A little bit of problem. Yeah, a little bit of a problem. I can't tell if that's because it's dirty or not. Huh. So broke the tip off, or not the tip, but the whole top off it. But lock is still there, a little dirty. Broke my brick. What am I supposed to do now? Okay, I guess we got to do another drop test. We got to do it again, because I can still use this knife. I can still use this knife. I think there's more. There's got to be more knife blades somewhere. I don't know. I guess we got another brick. Well, let's turn around, see if we can get the balance here. Let's go upside down. We only got half a brick here. Because it broke my brick. Thing is so powerful, it broke my brick. Let's go a little bit higher this time because, well, we only got half a brick. Let's go a little bit higher up. 3, 2, 1. Did it? What? What? Kidding me? It didn't even like hardly do anything. Oh, I lied. The detent is not too bad. I mean, I could still use that knife if I wanted. Pretty good knife so far. Hardly even looks like it did anything to the frame. The blade, on the other hand, detent still rocks. All right, all right. We're just not doing enough to it or something. I didn't even hardly do anything in the blade. I'm gonna do a little more force to it. I'm gonna kind of throw it a little bit. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. What? Oh, what? I swear it would have broke that. Oh my gosh. I guess I need a new brick. Jeepers. Yeah, what do you think? So, who won? The brick or the knife? Knife? I don't even know what to give that a score yet. We'll have to go inside when it's gonna examine this thing. Come on, break. What the heck? I actually think the lock actually did better. Hold on here. We're gonna take this inside and do a little more examination because it worked. All right, we're back down in the studio and unthawed, warmed up quite a bit. Actually, it's just a couple days later too, even. But I wanted to go ahead and talk about the test here. So the torture test, I went ahead and gave that brick test a 7. The reason I did is because this is still a usable knife. So usable, I would actually rather to believe that I could still cut paper with it. You saw what we've undo. I've not touched this at all, and look, it still kind of cuts. I mean, obviously, you're looking at that blade, and it's pretty janky, but some of it still works. So the plan is to send this back over to Drew. He wants to Dremel off the chunk here that ended up breaking off. You can kind of see that. There was some smaller parts somewhere that also fell off along the line somewhere else, of course. But yeah, you go ahead and, I was going to do it myself, but Drew wants to do it. But flatten that back out. This is a usable knife. I would pocket this all day. The pocket clip is still fine. So giving this a total score, 37 out of 50. There was a few things and minor things that I would say that, you know, probably because of the blade shape that hindered it a lot, but for an EDC knife, this thing was absolutely phenomenal. So I'm proud to be able to, you know, give it a good score. Did it make it all the way to 50? I don't know. We'll have to find out what knife will finally make it to 50. And we got a lot of knives on the list here. The box back there full of quite a few knives that we're going to keep this going. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this here. And come back for more. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and as always, guys, stay crispy.